Hi, this is Bobby Curnow, Chief Turtle Editor at IDW Publishing, and you are going to have a shell of a good time inside the pull bag.
You've just jumped inside the pull bag. Join TFG1 Mike and the rest of the comic reading crew here at the GCRN as they make their great escape into comics. From DC, Marvel, IDW, Boom Studios, Zenoscope, and more, we have everything you want to read right here. Transformers comics? Yeah, we cover that. He-Man? Yeah, sure. DC superheroes like Batman, Batgirl, Nightwing, and Batman Beyond? Yep, we have those too. How about TMNT from IDW and I Hate Fairyland from Image Comics? Yeah, we have all that here. Plus, so much more. It's all inside the pull bag here on the Geekcast Radio Network. So without any further ado, it's time to talk about the comics we are reading right now here inside the pull bag.
This is Kevin Conroy, and I am the goddamn Batman.
Hello and welcome to the Pull Bag. This is episode 361. I am, of course, TFG1 Mike. Joining me is Mr. Joe Reed. Hello, sir.
Hello.
Yes, we're going to be heading to both Gotham and New York City in this episode because we have Batman TMNT 2 from DC Comics and IDW Publishing. This is the second of three in this overall story, this crossover story that they're doing. Now, I know currently Batman TMNT 3 is being published in single issues because it just launched. The creative on this is James Tynion IV for the plot, dialogue 1 and 2, and then Ryan Ferrier, dialogue number 3 and 4. So they are the writers on here. Freddie E. Williams II is the artist. Jeremy Caldwell is the colorist. So that's the main part of the creative team.
Do you know what else Tynion has done?
Oh yeah, he's done a lot.
Okay.
I'd have to... Yeah. He's done so much. I like his writing. I think he's a cool writer. I would have to, actually do some sort of stuff here to find out. But
it was interesting with him. I mean, I didn't until you read the creatives. I didn't give one thought to the writer of this. Like, who do you give the job of writing Batman and the Ninja Turtles to? That's like that's a weird kind of pressure. On one hand, you can give a book like this to any old buddy off the street because it's going to sell books because it has both Ninja Turtles and Batman on it. It doesn't have to be good writing. Where this is actually kind of neat. It kind of made me wonder who Tynion was and what else he's...
Yep. Well, he obviously wrote the first chapter of this.
Yeah.
When we did that way back when, I don't even remember. He's written on Batman Eternal. He's written on the 2017-2018 Batwoman series. He has written on the current Batman series with Rebirth, Batman and Robin Eternal, Amazing X-Men. That series was from 2013 to 2015. I'm trying to find what else he wrote. Death of Wolverine, or at least he's one of the writers on that. I don't know if he's the main writer, but his credits on Comixology, I mean, it's all kinds of stuff.
Wow.
that
sounds like mainstream books too. Well, when I say mainstream, it's DC or Marvel, but
yeah, pretty much, yeah. So he has written a lot of stuff. According to the Comixology bio here, he is a newcomer to the comics industry, best known for his work with Scott Snyder on the Batman franchise. He made his debut on the backup stories during the hugely successful he was the writer of the backup stories on the Court of Owls storyline in the New 52 when Scott Snyder's run first started. Yep. So very, very cool.
Well, I know.
Yep. Freddie E. Williams has done all kinds of stuff. He did He-Man Thundercats. He obviously did the first series of this. He's done I think he does the Injustice books, and I know he did do Masters of the Universe versus Injustice. So I love Freddie's art.
Yeah.
Yep.
He's on my list of people I need on my giant commission.
Yes. And this story is called A Night, with a K, in New York. So that's this story, and I don't know, like, I know this art style is all Freddy, and the coloring obviously is all Jeremy. There are times in this I feel that I don't want to say the artist got an edict to do, oh, make sure they kind of look like the turtles from the films, the new films, the current,
Mm-hmm.
not the classic films, because if they look like the classic films, I would. Anyway, so yeah, that's a little, like, Donnie's got the goggles and things, and I'm like, okay, I get it. Donnie does machines, but
Yeah, I'm never a fan of Donnie being portrayed as having a bunch of technology strapped to him. I don't know. It's personal taste, but I think that overdoes it. Beside that, though, what I think Freddie Williams does here and has done is each turtle has a slightly different style of mask.
Yeah.
I think that kind of started with, I'm going to say Andy Kuhn did that early in his IDW time. It's the first time I really remember seeing that. I think that's right. But either way, I think that's kind of what's going on here with that.
Yep.
But these are definitely bulkier turtles. They're very, very muscular. But I think that's kind of Freddie Williams' style, because I think everybody has this kind of round, bulbous, muscular thing going on in a good way. I think it's some of my favorite art. I think at times it gets almost too detailed for me, but that's a silly, weird gripe. But I do enjoy that texture. I don't know how he blasts out a book as quickly as he does, with all the detail going into it.
Yep. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
So the basic story here is that it kind of focuses on Donnie. Like, Donnie supposedly screws up, and he's feeling, he's self-loathing on himself about how he can't fight, he can't this, he can't that, can't, but yet he does all the smart stuff and whatever. I gotta say right now, I love Freddy's take on April. April looks so good in this book. It's not necessarily an adult version, but I would say it's a more streamlined, less cartoony looking version of the 87 cartoon April, because she's all clad in the yellow and the whatever.
I was trying very hard to figure out what Ninja Turtle universe this is set in, because it seems to be a little vague. It doesn't seem they're not referencing things that happened in the IDW universe. They're not referencing the 87 directly. Yep. These are the same kind of more adult. I don't want to say grown up, and I don't want to say mature rated, but these are the more grown up depictions of the turtles that we see in the IDW series.
Yep.
April does definitely give me an 87 vibe taken seriously.
Yep, and that is cool. So what happens here is that Bane basically, he wants to use the Lazarus Pit, and while apparently at the same time Donatello is using the portal, because he wants to send a message to Batman, because he thinks, helping hearing advice from Batman will help him with his emotional issues. Well, by doing this, he transports Bane to his world and himself to Batman's world. This is not good. The circumstances of the story itself is good.
Yes.
But the plot of, Donnie, that's not good. What I love is that they're able to bring in, you bring in Bane. I have no idea what the heck Bane's gonna do in this, and Bane is freaking huge. I don't think I've ever seen him that big.
No, I think we can thank Freddie Williams and his bulbous muscles for that, because he just
exactly
went over the top with it, and in a fantastic way. With Bane coming into it, I'm not an expert on Bane, but I've seen a couple of different depictions of him, ranging from the the Batman movie that I pretend doesn't exist to the other Dark Knight movie, and then a couple of the comic books. I do like my Bane being the big muscle-bound guy who is also ridiculously intelligent, because I think that's how he originally was conceived, that he could both outsmart Batman and beat the tar out of him.
Yep.
And he certainly crosses over into New York City and starts doing just that in an interesting way.
Yep. I have to say, this is the first comic since Damian has been his son, since Damian has been Batman's son. This is the first comic I've read with this character that at first I was like, oh, Damian, it's just fucking Damian Wayne, it's just that Robin, it's just this, it's just that. Because I'm like, oh, he's going to be his arrogant little self. And honestly, by the end of this whatever, I'm like, hey, I kind of like Damian in this specific story. This specific book. Everywhere else, he's a dick. And I understand he's supposed to be that way, but there are just so many times that I just want to bitch slap that kid. And luckily, you know, his, turtle, this, that, like, luckily that eventually does go away, and we'll talk about this later, we get some really cool Damian and Raph stuff and all that.
Yep, I got that too. I'm not a big fan of Damian, of where he came from and what role they were giving him in the comics. I just no, it's not. But and I've never enjoyed reading him. Man, that was not Damian. I was trying to Batman Year One, Frank Miller.
Oh yeah,
that wasn't
Jason.
Damian. No.
Yeah.
Either way, this is, yes, again, the first time where I can tolerate him, and then and I think it has a lot to do with the moment that you're talking about that comes in later.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah,
after everything.
Yep. So Bane's plan here is to basically, he needs Venom. Venom is what keeps Bane all muscular. And without it, he can't be himself. And there's this whole underlying tone of, I was born in a prison, I've been a prisoner all my life, this, that, and the other thing, everything else. Which that is part of his story. I love that he recruits Bebop and Rocksteady. They look so good in Freddy's style and Jeremy's colors and all of that. Danny's inks. But basically, Bane's going to turn the entire world into his army of Bane soldiers. Yeah.
I think he has to recruit Baxter. He finds Baxter who can chemistry mock it up, and then give the Venom to everybody in New York and make them dependent on him, so they have to come to him for it. And who knows if that's a worthwhile, intelligent plot, but it's fun and it's neat, and
it's fun and it's interesting, and it's a plot with Bane that isn't just have him go, Bane plant bomb.
Yeah,
you know,
I think it could so very easily have, especially with the way he was talking. He's using really beautiful, superfluous Shakespearean language the whole time. He's monologuing every time that he's on the page, and that kind of stuff usually gets tedious for me to read. But it was so well written that I actually read every word in this book as I went through it. That doesn't usually happen. The other thing about as I read this book to do it for the podcast, I realized that if I ever did read it, I completely forgot it. I think this is the first time I actually ever read it. I had it in my box. I pulled it out for this, and I have a feeling that maybe I looked at it and flipped through it, but never read it or something, because I remember a couple of pages here and there of art. But no, I'm very glad that we did this and that I got to read it a second time, because it is good.
Yeah,
first time, I can't tell.
It is very good, and I've said this 1,000 times. The listeners should know, if people actually listen to this podcast. I used to read. I mean, I still read for enjoyment. I enjoy reading comics. I just do them for the show now. I'm not gonna, like, whenever the collected edition for this, the trade paperback, whenever that came out, I bought it and I basically filed it away like, oh, we'll get to this at some point. I don't know when. Obviously, that's now, but we'll get to it at some point. I was not going like, we recently bought TMNT 95 because the weird shredder gods wouldn't let you get to your comic shop, and you wanted to know so you weren't spoiled what was going on in City at War and Jenica and all that. And I'm like, okay, that's great. I'm still over here reading like Kingdom of Rats because I'm not gonna. I read in the moment of recording, like the night before, the day of, kind of thing. Because my thing is, if I had read this back when this came out, and then I had planned to do this episode like we're doing it now, unless I reread it before we recorded, I wouldn't remember anything out of this.
Yep, that's why I reread everything.
Yeah. And, like, for me, I want that first fresh take. So it's like, oh, this came out, and, oh, we're not going to get to this for 2 years? Well, however long it is, I got to go back and look it up when it originally came out. But, like, take, whatever. Some of the Transformer stuff that's already out, not the new universe, the universe that just ended. Like, that came out months ago, and I bought it months ago kind of thing, just waiting for the next Autobotley August, Autobotley April that we have here inside the pull bag. Getting back to this is something we talk about a lot when we're talking about Turtles. We got to talk about Master Splinter.
Mm-hmm.
Now, according to Comixology, I am on page 38. I know your book probably doesn't have page numbers, but it's the scene where Donatello is, feeling himself, and Batman and Robin are there, and, they realize, that Donnie was the one that made Bane go over there and whatever. Splinter says, Raphael, I'm certain your brother feels terrible enough without your help. And then he says, it is a great honor to welcome you into our home, Batman, and a pleasure to see you again. We always talk about Splinter because every artist has different interpretations of what a anthropomorphic rat should look like. And I gotta say, the close-up on him when he says, about, talking to Raphael, I gotta say, his face looks very rat-like. It doesn't look too much like a dog or a cat or whatever. It looks like a giant rat. I like it.
And I always appreciate when they give Splinter the mustache, the whiskers that end up like the martial arts master in the movie's mustache. It'll never look like a rat to me unless his ears are round, because rats' ears are circular. They're never pointy.
Right.
But as soon as you do that, as soon as you make round ears on Splinter, it doesn't look like Splinter anymore.
Yeah.
So, but Freddie Williams does have one of my favorite depictions of Splinter. I do appreciate it and like this version. I don't gripe about pointy ears on my rats, except to say that it's difficult to draw anthropomorphic rat humans.
Yes. I love, the scene where they're bowing. I think Splinter looks so good as far as the design, as far as the character model looks so great. You see his tail there, so there's nothing. Like, sometimes they'll try to find a way to hide the tail or hide something on him, or show him in a panel that only shows part of him, and it doesn't work so well. This works a lot. So like you said, Bane goes to Baxter Stockman. I couldn't imagine reading this in single issues. I just could not. I need the whole story. Where they get at the end of part 2 here, they get to the explosion, and then it turns into part 3. There's no way I could have waited for this, because I'm loving this. Like, even all the colors on the Turtles. Like, I'm looking at where it says A Night in New York part 3, where you got Raph, Casey, Robin, and Mikey. You look at Raph and you look at Mikey. Mikey is like a not hunter green, but he's like a brighter color of green, and Raph is a more
Yep.
muted. Like, I love that Jeremy Caldwell did that with the colors. Same thing with Donnie and Leo.
Yeah, I think these look to me like they are inspired by, based on the action figure colors from the 80s. I'm trying to find a Leo. I'm flipping around here, but Raph has that kind of standard green. Mikey is that brighter, more vibrant green.
Yep.
Donnie's that grayish, brownish green, and Leo, yeah, he's like a variation of a standard green.
Yep.
A little brighter than Raph. So yeah, that's what the action figures were, and I appreciate that.
And we get Baxter turning into a fly, because we have to have Baxter turning into a fly at every point that Baxter is in the story.
Which that moment definitely led me to believe that this was not in IDW canon, because Baxter is not a fly.
No.
IDW yet.
Not yet. Maybe. Well, as we're recording this, the news is already broke. Sophie Campbell writing, drawing, everything. TMNT 101 for the next story arc in IDW's TMNT. I'm looking at the page where you see Bane, you see Bebop and Rocksteady and Baxter, and then the Bane foot soldiers. Mm-hmm. I'm not a huge fan of Baxter design, because it's just me and my 7-year-old brain wanting the cart. I get it. I like it. I think it's cool. And my point here is, look how cool all of these characters are together. The Bane foot soldiers, Bane himself, Bebop and Rocksteady, and Baxter friggin' Stockman. They're all so different, but they all fit together so well in that image. Yeah.
Did we talk about the anime? I know we haven't reviewed the animated movie, but did we talk about last time we recorded about?
We've mentioned Batman? About it. Yeah, we've mentioned that Batman TMNT animated movie is out. I think we said something in the Triceratons episode we did.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh yeah, we got to get to that at some point.
They must so naturally fit together that people bought the snot out of these books, and somebody said, "Quick, we need to make an animated movie." Oh man, you know how much a cell of? I mean, it's probably all digital now, but there's probably some pencils out there that were scanned. How much one of those drawings with both a turtle and a Batman on the same page?
Oh yeah,
must be going for? My gosh. And the same thing with this book. I'm sure Freddie Williams is selling these pages to very rich collectors who are very happy to receive them. Like, this is history. They'll never.
Absolutely.
And they do all fit together so well. It's good. It's still as good as this is. It has me just squealing and wiggling inside, hoping they eventually get to cross over with Daredevil as nature intended. But this will hold me off. It's
yeah. For now, I mean, like I've said before on the show, IDW has something with Marvel, because IDW does the Marvel action thing. It's it's aimed at younger readers, but it doesn't have to be just for younger readers. But it is aimed at kids age stuff. So they're trying to figure out where Bane's hideout is and where could he possibly be hiding, and that's the thing. Bane is not Shredder. He's not hiding. He has his face on the Statue of Liberty. Okay then. That's one way to announce yourself. And then I like it for this specific story, but I hope this never happens again. Donnie on the Venom.
Oh yeah, that
broke my heart. Like, I get it because of the character arc of what this second part of the series is doing with Donnie. I understand it, and I see where it's coming from, and then obviously at the end he does see the error of his ways, but just Donnie's, like, if you thought Freddie Williams, Jeremy Caldwell Turtles were bulked up before, Um, the Bane of Donnie is like, yikes. Yeah, that's just crazy.
Yep, I remember seeing that on the cover of the book when I bought it and was like, "Oh my gosh, he did what? Why did? Oh my, I can't believe." And it's kind of the natural progression, how we crossed Batman and the Turtles over before, and we mutated all the villains. How do we do this now? Well, you've got to throw something at the Turtles. I mean, that's the only other thing you can throw at.
Yep. And again, I like that it's a character building moment. The beginning part of the story, we see Donnie kind of, doing the whole self-loathing thing, kind of, feeling like he's worthless, even though everyone tells him he's not, kind of a thing. So that is only going to lead up to him, oh, well, we've got to test it somehow. Well, why not just test it on me, kind of thing. So they have to figure out a way how to get the foot soldiers and Bebop and Rocksteady to not follow Bane, and they have to find a way to get Bane depowered. Well, Batman strikes an interesting deal with a prisoner.
I didn't see this coming.
I didn't see this coming at all. I'm like, what? And damn. So Batman strikes a deal with Shredder to help them get rid of Bane. And Donnie creates this anti-venom. No, not the Marvel character, folks. But, creates the anti-venom. And obviously, they're like, but dude, you'll be the first. He's like, I know. And he takes a small dose of it, so he then becomes regular Donnie again. So he's not all roided up. And then they release the anti-venom into the place and into the thing, and Shredder gets, the foot under control and all of that. But the cool thing about all of that is that deal where, Shredder gets, we've got some great battle scenes. I mean, the battles are simply amazing. There's one section, and I think Comixology Guide of View will do the panel by panel thing. I'm fairly certain it will. Yeah. It does it's on page 113, but that wouldn't matter to you if you have singles. In the trade, it zooms in on Shredder, Batman, and Splinter in the middle of the page. He's like, Bane. And I'm like, oh my god. Like, I mean, that's like the stuff of dreams, folks. It's not often you see two turtle characters and Batman in, like, this super close-up thing. So yeah,
page.
What?
I love that page. That's a great page.
Yeah, that is an awesome page. So everybody kind of, gets defeated. Bebop and Rocksteady. Oh, boss, we were just kidding around. We weren't really following Bane. And of course, Bebop and Rocksteady always do that kind of stuff. And Shredder goes back to prison.
Why does he go back to prison? How did he agree to that?
Yeah, exactly. Well, let me tell you, there's one thing he wanted. Another fight. Him versus me. To see who was really the best. And Batman gives Donatello some cool advice. And we get, the final thing of the final page of this here, where Raph and Robin are kind of like, palling around. And I forgot to mention earlier, the biggest thing for me with this was when Batman and Splinter and everybody come back and Robin and Raph are like at each other's throats. I was like, oh my god. It's the two angriest people in both of these franchises at each other's throats. That's hilariously awesome. Yeah. And I love the little page as they're the little panel as they're leaving into the portal. Batman's like, "Take care of yourselves until next time." I haven't seen, like, I don't know which version of Batman I see in this. Like, is it Kevin Conroy? Is it this? Is it that? That line, "Take care of yourselves until next time." I hear Conroy in my head with the way that he's smiling, because it reminds me of the time he smiled in Justice League.
Mm-hmm.
And
that one time? That can count on one hand?
Yeah, exactly. And, later, what does it say? It says, later that evening, what's this? Whoa, hey guys, guess what I've got? It's Batman's training protocol. All of his Robins do it for a little edge in your workouts, Donatello. You're gonna share that with us too, right? The end, for now. I love that they were able to get everybody into the photo kind of thing. Batman, Nightwing, the Turtles, April, Batgirl, Casey, Splinter. I love that. I think that is super cool. Overall, I really dug this because, you had said to me off air, you weren't sure where it was going to go. And past issue 1, I like issue 1. It's story setup. Mm-hmm. Every story has to be set up. So there's going to be little things that we may kind of nitpick in the beginning. But you said, once you get past the first issue, it's really, really good.
Yep.
And it is. Because, again, what threats between the two worlds, between Turtles and Batman,
mm-hmm.
who could you have brought in here? In the first one, we had
Joker and Al Ghul.
Yep, Joker and Raish. In this, we have Bane and, to a lesser extent, Shredder. I mean, Shredder essentially saves the day, sort of.
Yeah, so I don't count him.
Yeah, as a full-on. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So, but it's Bane, it's Bebop and Rocksteady, it's the Foot Soldiers, it's Baxter Stockman, and it works.
Yeah. So let's hypothesize. I have a couple issues of number 3 upstairs. I saw as I walked out. I haven't looked that close at them, but I wonder if we're going to see Krang or the Utroms,
mm-hmm.
whichever direction he's had to pull those. And as far as Bat villains, the only person that I remember not seeing that I know well enough is Red Hood. Mm-hmm. But I don't know if he's still a villain in the comics.
Yeah. The other thing we didn't mention about this, there's a part in this where they go up against, where I think it's Nightwing and Batgirl, or no, it's Robin and Raph, I think, or somebody. They go up against Mr. Freeze.
Yeah.
Freddie Williams, Mr. Freeze, oh my god, it's so good. So freaking good.
I'm not even going to flip back and look at it.
Right.
Because the best Mr. Freeze is the animated series intro episode. I love.
Yeah. And I mean, man. That's what I'm saying. That's what it didn't remind me of Arnold. It reminded me of BTAS.
Yep.
Mr. Freeze. So there is that. Read this, folks. Read this. Read the other one. Read the first one. Read the third one. Read the. As far as hypothesizing, I'll just say, and this may be a spoiler for some people, but the basic description on Comixology's website that anyone can probably go to and read. The 80th anniversary of Batman collides with the 35th anniversary of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. In this stunning concluding miniseries to the Batman Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles trilogy, our heroes have battled the evil of the Foot Clan in Gotham City and Bane in New York, but now Krang has gotten his hands on the most dangerous technologies in the DC universe, and no universe is safe from his wrath. Co-published with IDW. Ooh. Okay, so now we can speculate. Is it Krang and Brainiac, or is it Krang and Darkseid? I know Darkseid is. I know Brainiac and Darkseid are technically Superman villains, but I'm flashing to Justice League again. You know, that last episode that we mentioned in episode 359 of the podcast, where, you know, I feel like I live in a world of cardboard. Well, before that scene in that episode, Batman dodged Darkseid's Omega beams, and Darkseid, you know, was just like, flee. And I'm like, damn. I'm like, I don't know who the heck Krang is going to team up with on the Batman side of things.
I think we might end up with a really sinister version of Krang in that next series. Even in the IDW series, he's not as big a villain as Darkseid or going across to Marvel Thanos.
Right.
But there's potential for that, and it'll be interesting to see where they take him.
Yeah, absolutely. And I believe this is going to be 6 issues again, I think.
Yeah, and I would bet, I don't know for sure, but I bet it would be. My favorite thing is when I've had miniseries in the past and it says 1 of 4, 2 of 4, and then you get issue 3 and it says 3 of 6. I'm like, yes.
Yep. And sometimes Comixology does that, and sometimes they don't.
We had too much story, boss. We need more issues. You have them. Go.
Huh. Yeah. So absolutely dug it. Was there anything in the story that would make you not rate this a 4.5 or 5?
No, because that's where I was going to rate it. I definitely enjoyed this one more than I enjoyed the first one. I liked Donatello's arc. It's an arc that he hasn't really had in any of the other iterations of the Turtles.
Right.
It fits him. It fits the character. So I think that's kind of cool. I liked reading Bane, and I liked what Bane was doing in this story. So that was neat. I thought the villain was more compelling in that way. I mean, it still boils down to the same. I'm going to take over the city, har har har. But no, Bane has this theatrical kind of nature that made that very entertaining. And something that's I noticed happening in the first issue, and you said something that triggered like, oh yeah, he's the smile at the end. What I think is happening with Batman in this version is, Batman in Gotham in the DCU, he's walking around, I'm angry and I'm fear the night. But when he is interacting with these characters from the other universe, like he kind of realizes I don't have to impress these guys or frighten these guys, and so he lets it go. He'll have a slice of pizza and be like, that's good, give me a napkin, and he'll wave at him and say, see you next time, guys. It's he's letting his guard down with these guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like bowing to Splinter. Batman would not bow to anybody.
Oh, sure he would. No, he would. You gotta remember. Out of respect, oh yes. You gotta remember, he was trained by, not necessarily Reish, but he went over to Japan and was trained by martial arts masters and things. He would bow.
And I would believe, when he's training, but I think as Batman with the Batman mask on, he wouldn't do that but maybe the cursory, like, hey, Jim Gordon, I'll shake your hand. But I think that bow is a symbol of not letting his guard down, but it's like, you do have something over me, but I don't think he could do that.
I think the bow in this to Splinter, when they bow to each other, it's just simple respect.
Yeah.
That's all it is. Like, you're right. In general, anyone else, like Ra's al Ghul, of course, Batman's not gonna, whatever.
It says a lot that Batman bows to Splinter. I see that as like Batman understands what Splinter is capable of, and it kind of elevates Splinter a little bit, so thank you for that little bit of the crossover, giving everybody their due. In the animated series, and in I think in the first series of the comic, Batman trashes the Turtles. He's completely beyond them, but Splinter's a handful and Shredder's a handful for him, and I like that. But yeah, I don't see Batman bowing to many people in the DCU.
Oh no,
it'd be like, Superman is worth a cursory bow, but Batman would never do that.
Oh no. No. Again, it's a sensei. I don't want to say it's an old rat or an old man, but it's essentially an old sensei.
Yep.
It's essentially an old martial arts master.
That would have trained him back.
Right, exactly. Because of Batman's background and, out of the respect and all of that, yeah. All right. I'll give it a 4.5. I dug it. I thought it was kind of cool. I think Karai is kind of not necessarily misused, but underutilized. I don't know. Like, she's there. She's there, but she's there in the background. When I first saw her pop up, I'm like, okay.
And their relationship was weird to me because I'm thinking back to what I'm reading in the Turtles comic now, where it's very, very different right now.
Yeah.
And so, yep. Yeah, it kind of makes where this is coming from a little different, a little weird. But that's okay. I'm familiar enough with Karai to know what's going on.
Absolutely. So I'll give it a 4.5. What are you going to give it? Same thing?
I would give it a 4.5 too. This is probably one of the best crossover books that I've read for the Turtles.
Sweet. All right, coming up next time to close out the month of July, we have episode 362, where we go back into the IDW Turtles verse and we cover the Kingdom of Rats arc. This is issues 81 to 84 of the main Turtles ongoing series. So that's what's coming up here inside the pull bag. After that, Autobotly August 2019 kicks off with, as I've said before, part 3 of the Transformers Spotlights, which feature Blaster, RC, Mirage, Grimlock, and Wheelie. Where can people find you online, sir?
I can be found at the Geek Stuff Garage Sale Facebook page. So kind of reverse that, put a slash in the middle of it, and message me there, please. I'd love to hear from you. And got a Geek Sale, I think, coming up in September. So if you're anywhere near Michigan, follow that page, and there will be an announcement there for that.
Sweet. Awesome. I am at TFG and Mike on Twitter. You can also follow at The Pullbag as well as at Geekcast Radio for all the other network updates. Make your great escape into comics, and we will catch you next time when we are living out Indiana Jones's biggest fear, being covered in rats.
Does the phrase, go suck a lemon, hold any meaning for you?
Then you're damn fools.
You've just heard the latest episode of The Pullbag, the GCRN's first comic review and discussion podcast. There are several ways to get in touch with us and leave feedback for the show. You can visit the website, geekcastradio.com, where you can comment on the episode and all of our different podcasts. You can rate and leave a review for the show on iTunes. Be sure to leave us feedback. Become a fan of us on Facebook, facebook.com/thepullbag. Send us an email, feedback at geekcastradio.com. Follow us on Twitter at thepullbag and at geekcastradio. So until next time, make your great escape into comics and unleash the geek in you.